Hello, guys. Another edition of Earnestly podcast. I'm your host, as always, Ernest EJ Christian. First podcast of being 39 years old. Yesterday, I celebrated my 39th birthday. It's my last year at my 30s. And I gotta be honest with you, I feel older than that. I feel older. I was complaining the other day, too, that I was 38, but felt like 60. Now, my mom is 60 years old as well, too, although we say in our family that she's actually 29 for the 31st straight year. That's what I'm joking, our family now. And then our cake, actually, yesterday, we had a joint cake at her house yesterday. Our joint cake was, mine was 6 years old, so I've been 6 years old for a long time, and then hers was 28, actually. So she actually shaved off another year. I don't know how she does that, the time machine thing. I need to figure that out sometime. But, you know, I'm blessed and happy to be where I am now. At 39 years old, you know, I got a wonderful family, wonderful wife, obviously, two, my kids who are my world, and I can't complain. The only thing I'm complaining about right now is the way I feel physically. I feel like I'm turning 60, and it's maybe because of something I said on the pod. It may have been this podcast or the Unfiltered pod that I do on Periscope that goes to YouTube, but it also has a podcast too. You should check it out if you get a chance. It's on iTunes or Stitcher or Spotify at Earnest Speaking Unfiltered. That's like a short day-to-day hot take show I do, but. My shoulder and my back, my right shoulder going to my neck area, and it even impacts part of my arm, whatnot, has been really off and on. I've been really, sore for the last, few weeks, actually. Off and on for most, there'd be days it wouldn't bother me at all, but for the most part, it's been an issue. And so, the only thing that made yesterday rough was the fact that I had to deal with that all day yesterday. Well, that and my 2-year-old Logan being he's under the weather yesterday too. So he was rough yesterday. I had to hold him with that bad shoulder too. On top of that, which didn't really help because he's a big baby, But I'm blessed to be at the spot now at 39. But yeah, my shoulder's been an issue. I don't know if it's something more serious. It could be a pinched nerve. It could be a knot. There's something. Cause I need to get my back straightened out anyway. I need to go see a chiropractor. I need to get that taken care of. I deal poker for my regular job, so it is a physical job, so it does impact that to some degree, especially when I pitch cards. That's the arm. That's the side of the arm I normally pitch. So a couple days ago I was dealing a couple of games, and it was a little bit painful. So I need to take care of this soon. So yeah. That's one of those things that right now where I feel like 60, I feel old. But I mean, it could be a lot of things. The way I sleep, I think it's been triggered more lately when I go to sleep and wake up the next morning and I'm in pain. So obviously I need to get a new mattress probably. I need to get maybe an egg crate or something. I don't know what I need to do. But it's been a problem all week long, especially. I've been taking more ibuprofen lately. I typically hate taking tablets. To be honest with you, I hate tablets. I hate taking pills. I hate it with a passion. I don't care, small, big, doesn't matter. But people that know me, if I'm taking tablets on a regular basis to ease pain, something's wrong with me, because I'm the kind of person for years that I'd rather be in pain than take tablets, because I just hate having that kind of stuff in my system. I just hate having pills. I don't know what it is. I just don't like it. But lately I've been kind of all relying on that to kind of just take the pain off, even for a few hours, because the pain can be, sometimes too much for me, or overbearing, whatever you want to call it. So that's been the only negative recently. Other than that, things are great. Life is great. Like you're never promised tomorrow, but you live what you can in the present. Could things be better? Obviously, you can. I mean, especially if you're a goal-oriented person like myself, things can be better. Obviously, going down the road, but at the end of the day, I'm blessed to be able to do the things I can do, and be able to do this podcast as much as possible, be able to do my other podcast as possible, be able to do all sorts of things, So it's been a good, I'm looking forward to 40. Actually next year. Not sure I'll do a party or not. I've teased a couple of years that maybe I'll just do a big bash, because lately my birthday's been low key. Like it was really cool actually. My birthday yesterday. I didn't plan anything. First off, my wife took me to see Endgame on Tuesday, which is kind of cool because this is the last 2 years now where she's taking me for my birthday to see the Avengers movie. Last year, Infinity War came out the weekend before my birthday, and this year Endgame came out before my birthday as well too. So we 2 years in a row. Now it probably won't be a tradition now because with the movie, this part of the movie, Avengers cycle ending. But nice little 2-year tradition we built up here where I've been going to see Endgame for my birthday with my wife, a little date, the last couple of years. Really cool. Then obviously, I went to work a little bit, came back home. And then Wednesday, my actual birthday, yesterday, obviously it was rough because first off, my son was, again, under the weather, my shoulders were a problem, so we got a late start to the day. And then I told my wife I was craving pizza, but the pizza place that I want to go to is a place down in Delray Beach here, that we go to from time to time for our date nights, and we haven't been there about a year, maybe a little less than that, but about a year. It's called Bambini's. It's up in Delray where I used to live at. And I told her the day before that I'm having a craving to go there just to have their pizza. So we decided to go, even with the baby being the way he was, even with my shoulder being the way it is. We had a good time. I like this place because of the fact that it's a kind of an old school vibe. It's a kind of a 50s and 60s vibe to it. Like where I sat, for example, right next to me, there's like a mannequin of Elvis Presley and Marilyn Monroe on a table. Now, if you don't pay attention enough, you think that's real people next to you, but it's not. It's really 2 mannequins of Elvis Presley and Marilyn Monroe. But it's really cool. I mean, the whole thing is decked out in 50s and 60s paraphernalia, things about Elvis and the movies and old comics and you name it. It's really, really cool stuff. And it's kind of my vibe too. I'm into that old 50s and 60s vibe. I told my wife yesterday too. I go, if I wasn't black, I might actually been okay in that era, because obviously that was the segregation era, So my color might have been an issue, obviously been an issue, but if I wasn't black, I might have been able to flourish a lot in that era, especially because I love that era too. Outside the negative shit that came with it, which is obviously racism and all that. But we had a good time there. Ate a couple slices of pizza. I got cheese, of course. She got mushrooms. I can't stand mushrooms. I can't stand the smell of their mushrooms, to be honest with you. That's the one thing that really got to me is their mushrooms are kind of, I don't know. It's a certain scent I can't stand out of it, but it was good. Then we left, went to the store. My kid fell asleep a few times last night, quite a few times yesterday. He was really lethargic for the most part, but he hung in there. Went home. My wife got me the only thing I wanted for my birthday was, I wanted her to get me my traditional ice cream cake I get every year from Carvel. Whether it be, the regular cake rollout or the log. This year she got me a log. And it's cool because the log looks like a sushi roll, but it's ice cream. You know what I'm saying? So I got that yesterday, which is great. And then, went to my mom's house, because remember, it's her birthday too. She turned 60. And we went to her house at 6. I bought some pizza. We had a small shindig, nothing over the top. We sang my birthday, all that. And we had a good time there. We had a cake there. Also, our ice cream cake there too. Also, the regular rollout cake, which is good. And we had a good time. And then we went home. My mom gave me her gift, which was kind of shocking because the gift she gave me was actually, I never thought she got me this. My mom is a pretty conservative woman, Christian church, conservative woman, and she bought me 2 T-shirts. One was a Metallica T-shirt, which is absolutely insane because Metallica was not even allowed to be played in my house as a kid. Like, I was banned from playing their music, having anything related to the band in my house as a teenager because it was deemed as not positive, which that's not really the case. But grew up in a church, that's not something that you would be encouraged to listen to. Although there's nothing wrong with their music. This, in my opinion, anyway. And then she got me a Game of Thrones T-shirt, which is really, really cool. And I was blown away. I was like, wow, this is crazy. But my mom all of a sudden turned to a bit of a progressive to some degree. I don't know, because she's buying me material for my birthday that she didn't even allow me to even have in my house, 20 years ago. And now all of a sudden it's this. It's like this is kind of this is kind of weird. It's a little weird, but we did that. And came home, put the kids to sleep, and then that was that. It was a low key, but calm birthday. But I feel like I'm enjoying those more these days. These more low key birthdays. Maybe go to dinner or whatever with a friend or two. But for the most part, it's been low key. Every year. It's probably been that way since my 30th birthday. My 30th birthday, I went to a hookah hut with a bunch of friends. And 9 years later, now I'm doing a birthday with my wife and just getting pizza with my kid and all that, and there's something low key. Now, like I said, maybe next year I'll do a party. Next year I'll probably maybe do a bash or something like that. And that'll happen. I don't know. But I'm pretty happy right now. I'm for the most part, I'm okay. I'm kind of in a spot where I'm like, obviously there's still more I want to do. There's obvious things I want to figure out. But for the most part, my space in life right now, I feel like it's still at a positive level. My kids are doing very well. My oldest kid's doing well in school. Like I said, there's nothing to complain about. I really can't, nothing to complain about there at all. Okay. Like I said earlier, I did see the Avengers movie on Tuesday. I loved it. I obviously give it a 4.5 or 5 star movie. It's definitely one of the MCU's best movies. Definitely a top 5 movie, maybe in top 3. One day I'll probably do a rankings podcast on that. I'll probably do maybe one day I'll do a podcast with my wife on this, because she's even more of a fan than I am of the Marvel movies. And we can probably rank them together, the movies. Definitely a top 5er, and arguably a top 3. I was saying on my Unfiltered show I do on Periscope daily, that the only movies right now in a vacuum I would probably still take over Endgame. Infinity War I still enjoyed more, because I feel like it was more surprising than Endgame. And the storylines there were a lot more shocking and just a little more out there. And then I still prefer Ragnarok, Thor Ragnarok over Endgame. Thor Ragnarok was amazing. I mean, Thor Ragnarok might arguably be the best movie I've seen of the entire MCU collection, honestly. So, but Endgame was great. No spoilers, of course. I'm not giving spoilers out yet. And that's a conversation we've been having on social media for the last couple of days, because between Endgame and Game of Thrones this year, right now, is nearing its end of its entire series. We're halfway through the season. And my wife and I got into a bit of a discussion, which turned to a little bit of an argument, because I had that morning, on Tuesday morning, shared a meme from a Game of Thrones account. Maybe not necessarily an official one, but I had put in my Instagram stories that morning. And then she had told me that she was telling me, why did you do that for? Now, granted, my wife watched the show, we watched it together, we're all caught up. So I'm not spoiling anything for her necessarily, but she's thinking about everybody else out there who may be behind the show, or maybe didn't watch the episode within the 24 to 48 hour time frame. I don't know. But she was complaining to me why I did this, why did I share it? And I told her that, well, I didn't think it was a spoiler necessarily. I didn't think it had a lot of context. Except that when you share an Instagram post on the stories, it takes everything with it, even the context. I didn't think about that, because the context said basically what it was all the main characters that died in the last episode, episode 3. It was basically a tribute to them. It was the 6 characters that died. Jorah. I'm sorry, I'm spoiler here real quick. But a couple of people that died. Jorah, for example, and a couple other ones that died. Theon. That, it was basically saying the watch is now ended. So the only thing I put on there was salute. That's all I did. I put salute on there. And she thought that was more than enough of a spoiler for people to get mad about. And in fact, a very good friend of mine a few friends of mine got quite upset about what I did. Some of them I didn't even know they watched the show in the first place. So I was shocked. So, no, I didn't take it down. because I'm not gonna, I disagree with my wife on this situation for one reason. The argument I was making was this, is that I wasn't trying to spoil stuff. I wasn't trying to spoil the show or the episode and whatnot. But I think it's one thing when a movie like Endgame, when people don't spoil the movie, and I actually went through the entire weekend without getting spoiled, which was great. But I think a movie should be allotted 2 weeks, maybe even up to a month, before you start posting and spoiling things left and right. Okay, it's okay to have the conversation on social media. However, Game of Thrones is the last event show we have. I keep saying this every year when the show's on. This is the last event show we have, and part of what makes this show so special is not just the actual episodes, not just the action, not just the dialogue, but it's like I compare Game of Thrones to the NFL and college football. One reason why I love the NFL and college football is that I love not just the games itself, and all the hoopla around the games and the week and all that. I also love the water cooler talk between the episodes, between the games, between the weeks. Game of Thrones has that same kind of vibe. Game of Thrones, to me, is an event show. So when I go to work, when I go talk to my family about this on the sidebar conversations with friends and stuff, or even friends on social media that I'm not going to call on a daily basis, but I can still talk to them on a daily basis about and having a free conversation. Game of Thrones is that kind of show because the story is ongoing. What I'm going to say to this week may not even be relevant next week. You know what I'm saying? So the conversation I was having and what I was defending at the time, and still, to be honest, right now, is the fact that I think if you prioritize a show, or you say you prioritize a show, that I believe that I even gave it a little bit of leniency here too. I believe 48 to 72 hours is more enough time to watch a show that you claim to prioritize, especially when you have way more options to watch a show. You don't have to be relegated to your room or to a TV. You can watch it on the HBO app on your phone or on your iPad, whatever it may be. So it's not like you have to be, I gotta be home to do it. You can watch it on the road if you wanted to. Obviously I'm sensitive to certain situations, people who may have things going on, they have to work throughout the weekend, they have kids, and I get all that. But I shouldn't have to be penalized for every person's problem. And by the way, I'm not saying I'm going to spoil the show. I'm not going to do that. I'm not spoiling the show. What I'm saying is that when is it okay for me to have random conversations with people about the show, or share memes that I believe people will enjoy? That's the conversation. And I think, I'm sorry, I think 2 to 3 days is more enough time before I believe I can start talking about the show without having to worry about getting yelled at. Hell, Drake on the Billboard Music Awards last night actually, in some ways spoiled the show too. So you're gonna get on him now for that? I mean, it's just one of those things where, sometimes I think if you're gonna prioritize it, but otherwise, I don't think it's fair to just come down on me because I want to talk about the show and, whatnot. I got a friend, I knew somebody posted actually, on social media who's mad at me about it, but they're on season 2. Season 2 came out in 2012. Do you understand when season 2 happened? I didn't have kids. Obama was still in his first term. That's now 3 election cycles, 2 to 3 election cycles removed since season 2. I'm sorry, I cannot be responsible for someone who did not prioritize the show that wants to watch it now. And I think if you're currently watching the show and you caught up, but you maybe you're behind one episode and you didn't see it on Sunday, I'm of the opinion that 24 to 48 hours is more enough time before I can talk about it. And even then, I'm not going to spoil the show. But if I want to have conversation randomly about it, I don't want to not talk about it. And have to worry about this X person and Y person might have not seen the show yet. I'm sorry, 3 days is enough time. I'm sorry. It sounds like a dick thing, but I trust me, I'm not trying to be that way, but there's gotta be a healthy balance. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? I mean, the dick move for me would be to actually not only spoil the show the same day, but also live tweet it. People on Twitter do it all the time. People on Facebook do it all the time. I don't do that. I might live tweet games once in a while, but again, that's a different situation. But I will never go that far. But 3 days is way more than enough adequate time before I can feel like I'm comfortable to talk about the show on my own. So, whatever. All right. What else want to talk about here on the list? NBA playoffs. I gotta be honest with you. Obviously I'm watching all the games, at least most of the games. I thought this round I'd be a little more attached, and I guess I am to some degree, but I'm not as much as I thought I'd be. Maybe it's because of the week this week in general, the birthday and the kids and the work schedule. Maybe probably that. My physical ailment maybe too. But I still don't feel attached to the playoffs right now. Like, I'm still kind of like 1 foot in to some degree. And don't get me wrong, I'm still paying attention. But like yesterday, last night, for example. Now, granted, got home late from my mom's, put the kids to sleep. That takes about half an hour to process. I got home right when the Nuggets Blazers game was starting, game 2. And I sort of forgot about the game and then I didn't put it on until the fourth quarter. Now, normally in the past, I just jump on it no matter what. But it wasn't prioritized in the moment. Normally, it's prioritized in the moment, but I didn't prioritize it. And that's kind of how it's been for most of the playoffs so far this year. Now, again, I do care about the playoffs. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still following the games, and when I do remember, the game is on. But I don't feel like I've been attached to the playoffs as much as I thought I would be this year. Now, people say, well, about LeBron, is it because LeBron's not playing? No. LeBron has nothing to do with this at all. In fact, I think the LeBron portion of him not being there is less and less a topic anymore. Because I believe there are a lot more, even if LeBron was in the playoffs, and the Lakers, of course, there are actually more, in my opinion anyway, there are actually a lot more interesting things to talk about in the playoffs. Can the Warriors repeat? The Eastern Conference mix up in the top? The Rockets and their issues. I find way more interesting things right now going on in the NBA and the NBA playoffs that have nothing to do with LeBron James at all. And that's a good thing. People say, well, you need LeBron. And the ratings are down 20% the first round. I get that. But, I think there's a lot of things that attribute to the reason that's low. Or that low, should I say. So I'm not saying that LeBron, there probably is some LeBron, heart grow fonder, if you will. Like, people miss LeBron not playing in the playoffs. I mean, there is some of that. I mean, I would be, it would be silly to think that doesn't hang. But I don't think that's the main issue why the ratings are down. I think there's a lot more things going on. The Game of Thrones, obviously, is a big deal. The Endgame movie, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of distractions. And we're in an era now where everything's down in general. That's all. The series is, second round series so far has been interesting. Portland and Denver, I watched the game last night, 1-1 series now. The Blazers with a big win. Denver had a chance to come back and win that game last night, but they missed the open shots in the game. You also had the other West series. I think Golden State's going to close it out in 5. Game 1 was the best chance of Houston win that series, even though Houston was competitive in game 2 as well. I just think Golden State is just right now in a situation where when they want to, they can blow out Houston. And I don't think Houston's as good as they were last year. Missing some of the, missing the Arizas and Baumutis in the world who would defend better than some of the guys have now. And again, after game 1, when Steph Curry and Klay Thompson didn't play all that great, and they still win, I mean, it's a bad sign for Houston. I'm sorry, it is. And obviously the whole thing with the Rockets complaining with the officials about not getting calls, and James Harden not getting calls, and he gets hurt in game 2. To me, I'll say it again. I said on the Unfiltered show too. I think they're making Golden State a lot more likable now than they should be because of the complaining they're doing. Chris Paul, top 5 point guard all time, even without the rings. But he's looked at in a negative light because he's a bit of a dirty player. He is. I'm sorry. So Houston is becoming unlikable. Golden State's becoming unlikable in the situation, and I think they're gonna win the West because I think whoever they play, Denver or Portland next round, that'll go 7 games probably, and Golden State will destroy who's next in line. So again, I believe the biggest challenge for Houston was either Houston or the Eastern Conference. That's it. Speaking of the Eastern Conference, Milwaukee, Boston tied at 1. Both Celtics and the Bucks blowout wins in Milwaukee. Nice bounce back for the Bucks on Tuesday. I think Game 3 is tonight, I believe, also too. I think. So that hasn't really been an entertaining series because again, both games and blowouts. But I think that will still go 7 games. And then the other one, Toronto and Philadelphia, 1-1 series. That was a huge win for the Sixers on Monday, because I really believe if the Raptors took a 2-0 lead going to Philadelphia, that's over in 5. Because I think Toronto could still take 1 in Philadelphia and then it'd be end in Toronto game 5. But because of the fact that they actually took care of business, Philadelphia bounced back after getting embarrassed in game 1. I think they did a really good job in bouncing back. Joel Embiid is incredible. So what you want. I mean, Philly's not a really likable team themselves, but Joel Embiid, that is the best player on that team and is the top 10 player in the league. And he's just incredible. Just unbelievable. All right, finally, before I go, this is a topic I wanted to talk about last week on the show, but I forgot to add to my notes. But Joe Biden last week officially announced that he is going to be running for president in 2020. Well, now, but 2020 presidential campaign. Obviously, he's leading the polls right now. Although, look, after what we went through in 2016, I think polls could be a little bit misguided to some degree. I think polls could be trusted to some degree, but I don't think polls are your be-all, end-all. I think people are a little more reluctant when it comes to polling and whatnot. There's a lot of stuff around Joe Biden. There's a lot of can we commit to this guy or not? There's a lot of negative energy towards Joe Biden right now because of the Me Too movement, because of Uncle Joe and being a little bit handsy with women and even anybody, handsy in general, but anybody, men, women, kids. Nothing that no one's ever pressed charges for, obviously, but this is enough to make people uncomfortable on a larger scale. Which obviously that is the case. There's a lot of hypocrisy going on on both sides, from the right and the left, about how this is being handled in the media, obviously. Here's my synopsis of the whole thing. I think Joe Biden, look, and I could be wrong, because I don't know who he is. I'm just going based on what I've seen about this guy for 30 years. I think Joe Biden is this, a lot of who he is and how he acts is, I think a bit generational. I've seen older folks in my life growing up act the same way. Doesn't necessarily mean they're trying to get something out of that. At least I don't know that, or ever did actually happen. But I think some of it is generational to some degree. I hate to say that, but that's how I feel. He comes off as well intentioned, but maybe he shouldn't do that. Well, let's put it away. He shouldn't do that at all. If someone's uncomfortable, obviously to speak up and say it, and he should respect that, and that's it. And he, to his credit, he sat on a sword and said, "Listen, I'll be more mindful of that." That said, I've been saying for a long time that to beat Donald Trump, I believe Joe Biden, of all the Democratic nominees currently we have on the platform, I believe Joe Biden still has the best chance of beating Donald Trump. I think Joe Biden is the best chance of beating Donald Trump. And it's really this simple. Joe Biden is not... Joe Biden's a Democrat, yes. But he's not a far-left, progressive leftist. Okay? Joe Biden's biggest challenge to me, honestly, and there's a lot of people who are in the middle who agree with this. People who lean to the right agree with this also, too. Joe Biden's biggest challenge, really, in this election, isn't necessarily beating Donald Trump, should he get there. Joe Biden's biggest challenge in this election is actually winning the nomination, because he is now running for a nomination of a party that currently right now is pretty fractured. Like, it may not say they are, you may not think they are, but it's a fractured party. You still have, while you have this really strong progressive movement in the last couple of years that's been very strong, the AOCs of the world, obviously Bernie Sanders is part of that, Elizabeth Warren, a bunch of Democratic politicians who have now embraced that far left progressive agenda. But there are still a lot of Democrats who are still closer to the middle, who are liberal, but more what you would put in classic liberal, who are a little more moderate in their viewpoints. Okay, now where Democratic voters are as a whole, not saying the politicians, but Democratic viewers as a whole, where they are, that remains to be seen. Because there was it was a fractured party 2 years ago with Hillary and Bernie, obviously. Now, where they are since then, that's the question. I don't know. Has it gotten more far progressive since 2016? We don't know. Joe Biden also falls into that more moderate type of politician. I would dare say Obama was that way too. Like, people say Obama was a leftist. No, he was not. Trust me, Obama was a lot more moderate than people give credit for. You know, people on the right who say that the lunatics. He's a lot more moderate than people give him credit for. Okay, some of his social views actually were very moderate. The guy didn't even believe in gay marriage for a long time, crying out loud. Okay, so stop. Okay, and that's a very moderate to conservative issue. And so anyway, so in the case of Joe Biden, I think he has to he's going to toe the line of finding a way to ingratiate himself towards progressives who may not like him, who may be on the fence with him right now. Okay, but the problem is, once you do that, assume he does that and he wins the nomination, can Joe Biden appeal to the middle? Because this is the problem. Once you appeal to the far fringes of your party, then you have another battle in a general election of appealing to the middle of the road moderates and MPAs and whatnot who don't share extreme right wing or left wing views. That's going to be the challenge. Where Donald Trump won is that Donald Trump was able to find a way to, chaos number one made this happen. but second of all, Donald Trump actually ran for the most part as a moderate candidate in 2016, which is why a lot of people, which is why he had a very fairly, now comparing to recent years, a fairly higher black vote than in decades. He was getting double digits in black votes in comparison to any other Republican nominee or president in the last 20 years. That's a fact. Okay, so Donald Trump came off more moderate and less political towards the constituents of the middle. Okay, yes, we know Hillary won the popular vote. Yes, we know that. But again, she also was very disliked by the far left. It's like and now Joe Biden's now put in the spot too. Now Joe Biden's a lot more likable than Hillary Clinton. That's a fact. But do we know that Joe Biden will appeal enough to the far left and then be able to come back to the middle when the general election happens? That's the big question. So again, this is where this election is going to be very, very, very interesting, to be honest with you. So I don't know. This is going to be a very fascinating cycle because Bernie is doing pretty well in the polls right now. Beto has gotten it's funny. Beto, announced his candidacy about a month and a half ago, and he came out pretty well the first couple of weeks, and then has dipped since then. Pete Buttigieg has actually been the new kid on the block now. Has been doing well in the polls. To be honest with you, and I have to agree with Ben Shapiro from the Daily Wire and the Ben Shapiro podcast, all that. He's actually taking some of he's taking some of Beto's thunder a little bit. I think Buttigieg being the mayor from Indiana, I think it's Indiana. He's also gay. It's actually taking some of the thunder off Beto, because Beto, we all thought that once Beto and Biden both got in, that would be the two heavyweights. Maybe Kamala Harris to some degree, but my assumption was that once this thing came to play and all the names that we all thought would enter the race, we thought it'd be Beto and Biden that'd be the two heavyweights and go from there. But right now, if you look at it from a broad scope, it looks like it's Biden, obviously, and Buttigieg is getting a lot of steam now, and Bernie Sanders. You don't hear a lot about Beto right now. You don't hear anything about Beto right now. Again, it's still early in the process. We're not even close to caucus time. The caucus don't start for another 8 months. So we have a lot of time before we get into all that. So, again, I think Joe Biden is the best chance for Democrats to win the White House in 2020. But I think his biggest challenge again is not beating Trump in 2020. It's actually winning the nomination. Because I think once he wins the nomination, then I feel like Biden and Trump will be actually a lot more I think more moderates are willing to vote for Joe Biden than they would for Hillary Clinton. I think more moderates are willing. For a reason, they could be sexist, all that, whatever it may be. But I think more moderates are willing to jump on Joe Biden than they would Hillary Clinton. I think more moderates, especially moderates that may not be happy with Trump right now, will be more willing to vote for Joe Biden than probably any more far left progressive candidate come out of the Democratic Party. That's my opinion. I'm not saying it's fact. That's my opinion. But I also work in a place where I'm surrounded by thousands of people, and I hear a lot of things. Just saying. So I think I'll cut for the day. I'm supposed to drop another podcast also. I think tomorrow. We had to delay the Throne Talk pod from yesterday because of my birthday and then my kid was sick. So we may do a pod. I'm supposed to record another podcast tonight. Actually, two podcasts. I have one going with, of course, like I said, Throne Talk, with our guy D Will. But also, I had a conversation planned with our old friend of the pod, Tokyo Jameson, Big TJ. We want to talk some about the Game of Thrones spoiler conversation, all that. Good friend of the show. So I'm hoping to do both those interviews tonight, and I'll drop tomorrow morning if possible. I'm going to do what I probably end up doing is dropping those shows combined on one episode. So anyway, I'm done. 39's here. Of course, in addition to this show, you can also check out the Earnest Speaking Unfiltered. It's on Periscope. I do it live on Twitter every day, but then I also put on YouTube, on YouTube page. Look up Ernest Christian on YouTube. And of course, it's if you can't watch the show on YouTube, on Periscope or Twitter, we also have the show available as an audio on Earnest Speaking Unfiltered, which is available on any podcast platform you can find. So anyway, till then, love you guys. Kisses. Take care, and see ya.